everybody. My name is Rachel Fernley and I'm a manifestation and abundance mindset coach. So I work primarily with women in the health and wellness industry and those looking to transition out of corporate and into the health and wellness industry. So one of the things that I love about this work is really helping women to break through their mindset blocks, their limiting beliefs that are preventing them from really shining in the world, really sharing their gifts with the soul-led work that they do in order that they can have a really big impact. What I know from personal experience and what I see so often is that many women who work within the health and wellness industry or in some kind of care and profession where they're really giving their hearts and souls to their work, they really limit themselves. They limit their light, their ability to really shine into the world. And that's pretty much all through their own belief system and conditioning that tells them that they can't have this, they can't have as much as they truly desire, that they're not worthy, that there's something wrong with really truly wanting to thrive, like wanting to have money, wanting to have a beautiful house, have a beautiful car, wanting to be able to go away and travel and do everything that you really, really truly want to do. And this leads me on to today's topic, which is this feeling that a lot of people experience of guilt around wanting money, wanting more wealth, wanting more prosperity, wanting to be more successful, wanting whatever it is. But in particularly today, I'm going to talk about this guilt that people experience around wanting more money. And it's something that I hear a lot from people as to a part of what is stopping them and holding them back. So let's just look for a minute at what guilt actually is. So guilt is obviously an emotion, and it's something that we feel when we feel that our actions are having a negative effect on somebody else. So we feel guilty. It's like, oh, I feel guilty for something I did to someone or something I said to someone, or I feel guilty about my thoughts about someone. So it's always like really about somebody else. So when we have guilt, when we experience guilt around wanting more money, essentially what we are telling ourselves somewhere in our subconscious is that through us having more money, it means that something is going to happen to somebody else in a negative way. So essentially that somebody else will have less money by me having more money. And really with all of these beliefs that are limiting, and what we want to do is we want to just really unpick the belief and really start to question the truth behind the belief. So is it really true, like really, really true, that by you having more than say what you currently have, that inherently and directly connects to somebody else having less? So money is actually an infinite resource. Okay, money is just energy, and this is such a big thing for people to wrap their head around, especially when so many people have really objectified money. We've given it like a real feeling, we've given it an essence, we've given it like an emotion, we've almost given it like this character. For many people, like money's this evil thing, it's weird, it's awkward, and we've kind of like objectified and personified money, but money is just a representation of energy. Okay, and energy is infinite. Okay, energy cannot be destroyed, so therefore there is not a finite amount of money, meaning that it's not like there's this pie and if you get a big cut of the pie, somebody else gets a smaller cut of the pie. Okay, it just does not work like that. Okay, at any given moment in the world, trillions of dollars are changing hands. At any given moment, trillions. Okay, I can't even picture what $1 trillion would look like. Okay, and to give another sort of perspective on it, the health and wellness industry currently is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Okay, so if you're, I mean, and even if you're not working in health and wellness, right? If you're worried that by you having a tiny little piece more, like 0.0000001% of that would still be a huge amount of money, right? If you're worried about having that tiny fraction more, that's actually going to impact what somebody else does or does not have. I mean, that's not correct thinking, right? It's very, very jumbled thinking. So this is why it's so clear to like ask ourselves really good questions. Well, where did that come from? Like, if I'm feeling guilty, well, what am I feeling guilty about? I guess I'm feeling guilty that if I have more, that means somebody has less. Well, let's look for the truth in that. Like, who has less? If I have more, who has less? Who am I actually taking from in order that they must have less for me to have more? Okay, and when we start to think of it like this, I personally find it quite funny, right? I'm like, oh wow, like that's so interesting, because actually I can start to see that this isn't particularly true, right? I've created a whole story in my head, but I've actually not really looked at the story such that I've just given it validation without me really understanding the story. So so the other thing that can be triggering is this whole thing of money being an unlimited resource. And you might personally experience money as a limited resource. There might be a really limited number in your bank account. You might have a lot of scarcity around money. It's like money's limited, it's scarce, okay? But money in and of itself, wealth is unlimited, okay? What is limiting the flow of money to you is how you think about money. Money in and of itself is not limiting. Money in and of itself does not have an intention. It doesn't go to some people and not to others, okay? It is our own thinking, our own belief system that limits the flow of money. So your ability or not to bring money in does not influence somebody else having money, okay? The two are not mutually connected. Like they're mutually exclusive. I can't remember which way around that is. Anyway, like they're not connected. It really is like comparing jackets to bananas. Like it seems like there would be a connection, but there really isn't. Okay, so, but let's just say hypothetically that there was some kind of connection between that, right? If you had less because you genuinely believed that by having more they would have less, right? You believed that there was this piece of pie, and if you have a smaller amount, it's more fair, right? It's more fair. Like we all have the same amount of money. If by you having less means that they do get more, like how would you having less help them anyway, other than perhaps them having more? Like how would you living in scarcity, how would you like living in this kind of state of like, oh, I want to bring in money, I can't spend money, like how is that inherently going to help other people, especially when we project it onto people that are living aligned with their dharma, with their purpose, people who are really doing soul-led work? Like when we live in scarcity, when we live in a place of lack, we're really not doing ourselves any favors, and we're not doing other people any favors by living in lack, okay? So having guilt around how you would feel, or having guilt around how they would feel is also it's a pointless emotion. It's a pointless experience to have guilt around what somebody else feels or thinks, because ultimately we have no control over somebody else's experience. We have no control over what somebody else thinks, what somebody else feels, how somebody else feels. We have no control over how somebody views their life and their circumstances. We have no control over their experiences of life. And we also have no control over their judgment over ourselves. So if you're living your life from a perspective of guilt, like trying to avoid feeling guilty for somebody else's experience of life, well, it's utterly pointless, because you can't control what they think or feel or experience anyway. And we can't control somebody judging us. And humans are judgmental creatures, right? Whether we like it or not, you are going to get judged whatever you fucking do. You're going to get judged however you look, however you think, however you show up in life. You're going to get judged for what you say. There's people watching this that are judging me right now for whatever reason, right? we judge, people judge, we will always get judged. So you might as well show up as authentically as you want. You might as well make as much money as you truly desire, because you're going to get fucking judged whether you make money or whether you don't make money. People are going to judge you and be like, oh my gosh, you know, she makes no money. Like she works so hard, she makes no money. She must be terrible in business. People are going to judge you if you have money. Oh my gosh, she's so greedy, right? So just do you. Like, do you unashamedly, because you're gonna get fucking judged for it. So you might as well enjoy your process and live as authentically and elaborately and in a way that really lights you up, because you can't control what anybody else thinks or feels. So really pondering, like, when you have these experiences of guilt which relates to somebody else's experience, right? Be really real. What can I do about their experience anyway? Very little. Okay, you cannot control how somebody else sees you. You cannot control how somebody else thinks. You cannot control how somebody else experiences life, right? So whenever we have these limiting beliefs come up, these stories that we tell ourselves, the key is really to dig in. It's really to dig into, like, well, what is the truth behind this story? What is the truth behind these emotions that I'm experiencing? And 99.9% of the time, we realize that there is no truth, that there is no validity in whatever it is that we're experiencing. So this is really a lot of the ways that I work with the clients that I work with, in terms of really calling them out on their limiting stories, on their conditioning, on how they view wealth and abundance, how they talk about it, the languaging they use, the way that they really show up around these topics, okay? And if you are interested to dive deeper into this, I actually have a free virtual training coming up this coming Thursday, so in 2 days time, on the 8th of October. So if you're interested to join me, it's a 1-hour training. We'll be really diving into this topic of scarcity. So a lot of people experience life with a lot of scarcity, and most people don't realize that they are inviting that scarcity in, okay, by our thoughts, by our actions, by the words that we're using, by our behaviors, so many things, even by the way that we stand, the way we hold ourselves, our posture. So if you want to join me for this training, it's completely free. If you're watching this on Instagram, you can click the link in the bio. If you're watching this on Facebook, I will put a link below. You can just click through the link, register for the training. If you can't watch it live, you will get the recording in an email straight after. All right, have a beautiful day, everybody.